It's a privilege to be able to offer this land acknowledgement. I was born in south central Wisconsin to European ancestry. My paternal great-great-great-grandparents arrived from southern Germany in the early 1800s. The land where I grew up, the land that my parents purchased in the late 1950s, was first titled by the government in 1836. But we know that when my ancestors arrived there, the land was not empty. The indigenous and rightful stewards of my birthplace are known as the Ho-Chunk Nation, the people of the big voice. When French explorers arrived in Wisconsin in the 1600s, they were greeted by the Ho-Chunk people. The Ho-Chunk depended on the resources of their land, its water, earth, plants, and animals, to live well. They farmed, fished, gathered, and hunted to meet their needs with sustainable limits. Eventually, contact with fur traders upset their traditional culture and occupation by European Americans, and new immigrants forced them into exile. The 1837 Treaty of Washington decreed that the Ho-Chunk leave their homes in Wisconsin for reservations west of the Mississippi. It is likely that many of us here in Maine, through our ancestry, are benefiting from similar injustices that were carried out across our nation. At this time and in this place, I wish to acknowledge the history of broken promises in the relationship between settlers and indigenous people in Maine. Our PL camp leadership regularly makes this type of acknowledgement at the start of youth and adult camps as voluntary expressions of contrition for the harms caused to the original people of this place we know as Pilgrim Lodge, which is situated on the shore of Lake Kabasikanti, so named for plenty of sturgeon. I acknowledge that we meet today on the traditional territory of the people of the Dawn, the Wabanaki Nations. I recognize and honor the current nations of the Wabanaki Confederacy who have stewarded this land throughout the generations: the Maliseet, the Passamaquoddy, the Penobscot, the Micmac, and their ancestors. I acknowledge that the indigenous people of this land are denied access and rights to the land and waters of this place that we know as Maine. Our U.S. government has consistently broken covenants made with the Wabanaki Nations. Our Maine government is currently acting in bad faith regarding existing covenants and laws. As we spend time in this sacred space, we experience wonder, joy, grief at what happens around us on the land, in or on the water, and to the creatures populating this place. We marvel at the different calls of the loon. We hush our voices and able to hear the owl hoot. We are awestruck by the visual beauty of a sunset or a sunrise. We feel attuned to the sturdiness of the tall trees that have been standing since before we were born. All this we share in common with the Wabanaki people, the original stewards of this place. I respect the traditional values of the Wabanaki Nations, affirm their inherent sovereignty in this territory we now call Maine, and support efforts for protection and restoration of land and water, and for cultural healing and recovery. I personally feel challenged to continue learning about past wrongs and how they are still perpetuated. I personally accept the invitation to engage in conversation with the indigenous people of this land, seeking to learn from them, seeking to stop the harm, and seeking to make reparations. We are all at different points in our journeys. My hope is that through education and self-reflection, you are also willing to make this place we know as Maine a place of reconciliation and healing for those who came before us. There is hope in Maine, but it is lagging behind most or all other states in this regard. I share this example again from my home state of Wisconsin, home of the Ho-Chunk Nation. Decades ago, when the Badger Army ammunition plant, about 10 miles from where I grew up, was decommissioned, the Ho-Chunk called for a portion of the land to be returned to them. In 2015, 1,500 acres of prairie, 1,500 acres of sacred earth were returned to her indigenous people. The site is once again a place for tribal cultural events and for renewing connections with their sacred land and its history. I hope that you will consider joining me and others in supporting legislation designed to restore tribal sovereignty to the people of the Dawn.